Hey y'all, welcome back. Okay, so I know there's quite a few people wondering why I haven't been extensively covering the Epstein files and all of that. I want you to know I've been collecting receipts. Yeah, I have lots of them. But what I thought was more important was the way that the information would be presented to people because I feel like there's a real lack of trauma informed presentation. I feel that the way that things have been presented, it will be traumatizing for people who have survived those events and for people who have survived similar events. Maybe not necessarily a part of that structure, that system that they created, but people who have experienced similar things. And I don't really think that's fair to be re-traumatizing people when we don't really have answers. The biggest thing I'm concerned about is lack of accountability, right? The things that I have seen have been completely deplorable with regards to some things being redacted when it came to the people who were committing the offenses, but then the actual victims and survivors themselves, right? Depending on where they identify themselves. It's not my place to identify how they would like to be identified. I would call them all survivors, but people identify themselves in different areas and different times, right? To not do things that protect those survivors, I find to be quite disgusting. I have some receipts. I will be finding ways to appropriately present that information, and when that time comes, then I'll put it up. Don't think that I don't have the information. I do. I'm never going to show you things where children or vulnerable people in any kind of way are being harmed. I'm not going to actually show you that kind of stuff. If there's interviews done by people where they're, speaking about the issues that are at hand, or there are certain kinds of documents I feel, that are appropriate and public information for the most part, that type of stuff I'll put up. I'm not going to put up really traumatizing information. I want my spaces, the ones that I create, to feel safe for people. And with that being said, I'm not going to be putting certain kind of content up. I apologize if that's what you were looking for me. That's just not something I'm going to do. I don't think that's fair. As somebody who was trauma-informed, trained, I just can't do that. But just know, I do have receipts. There are things that can be discussed. Yes, I can align it and map it to other kinds of things, so I will do that. But it's all about intentionality. I'm not going to do something to harm people or that I think could cause harm and be okay with that. I couldn't sleep at night doing something like that to people, and I won't. But no, me not covering it is intentional, but it's also done in a mindful way because I want to help, not harm. A lot of times information just gets dumped out there and do all this info dumping, right? And it re-traumatizes. And it reprograms the mind, and sometimes the way things can be done, it can be more harmful than not. So I would like to be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. So just know, to stay tuned. I will have more content coming out relevant to the overall structure and discussion of what they have going on. But I'm very intentional about how I do it. I'm not going to be showing y'all problematic content with children and referencing certain things. I'm not doing that, right? Not that I don't feel like it should be discussed. It 100% should. But I'm not going to traumatize you in the hopes of addressing that conversation, because some people are doing things for clickbait. Some people are doing things just for shock and awe factor. And I don't think traumatizing you, and a lot of people are already traumatized with all the other things going on in the world. I'm not going to traumatize you for fun, for clicks, for follows, for the potential to become monetized later down. I'm not doing that. That's not worth it to me. Your mental health is so much more important to me than that. So I will be covering the content when it can be done appropriately. With that being said, this is Adrianne, right? But this is Legally Everywhere content. So we're legally everywhere, looking into everything. Child, I even took off my glasses so I could look y'all in the eyes. They said the eyes are portal to the soul, right? So I want y'all to be able to feel where I was coming from. It comes from a real, genuine place. I don't want y'all to have psychological distress and harm because of it. So if you are consuming the content, do it mindfully. Do it with intention, because it's not organized in a way that's going to give you direct answers. You just have lots of receipts, so to speak, right? But that can be traumatizing to constantly subject yourself to that kind of content when there's no real resolve going with it. There's no accountability with it. We're not seeing people get really incarcerated or any of that. People barely want to even acknowledge certain stuff when they put in the whole nother thing. We've seen the way they've been handling the discussions. Other countries seem to be more responsive to what's been happening than our own. So just kind of keep that in mind and put up mental protective barriers for yourself so that your mental health is okay. That is what I'm concerned about. When I said that I was going to create a space, I wanted to create a safe space to get the information. Not just consistent space, but a safe space. So I will see you in the next videos, because what? This is literally everywhere. We've been looking into everything, right? And today was just a mental health check. I just want you to know that I'm doing my best to present content to you in the correct kind of way, not just because I want to get some likes. Who cares? Like, no. I want it to be done the right way. So I'll see you in the next video. All right. Next time.